Hi, it's Jen. Today I'm going to be doing another speed paint. This is a sprite that appears in my game in Chapter 4 that I'm currently working on. If you're interested, I will leave a link in the description below to download and try my game for free. The program I'm using here is Procreate. I'm using an Apple iPad Pro. Yeah, and today I thought I would just talk a little bit about the whole idea of talent versus ability or learning or discipline. Something I get a lot working as an artist, or even with like just helping people troubleshoot their technology. One of the things I hear a lot of is, I can't do that, or I wish I could do that. This whole idea that some people are just smarter or more gifted, more capable of learning and doing certain things. And I don't know if people are just trying to compliment me as saying like, oh, you're good at this, that's fantastic, or if they really are saying the words that I'm hearing. Like, do they actually mean that I wish I could do this but I can't? Because I wish people would use their language a little bit more honestly if that's not what they're saying. Like, either say, you know, oh wow, you're good at this, that's great. Or they could say like, oh, I wouldn't have the patience to do that, or that must have taken a lot of effort to learn how to do that. Instead of saying something like, oh, I wish I could do that, oh, I wish I had talent, oh, I wish I was smart. Because when I hear those kinds of words, I really want to tell that person, this isn't about being smart, this isn't about being talented, this is about just putting in a lot of hours. One of the things I feel like that I've learned and reaffirmed since I've been learning to program my own game. Granted, it is a simple game, but I've only been doing it for less than a year. And I don't come from a technical background. Everything that I've become good at with technology, like building my own computer and troubleshooting people's computer problems, it's just from having an interest and doing the research and then just doing it. And never telling myself, oh, I'm not smart enough to do that, or that looks too hard for me. Everything that I'm learning is not that difficult once you break it down into simple tasks. It's just the sum of all these simple tasks that seems difficult when you're looking at it from a large picture. So your computer is doing, billions of tasks at a time. So when you see how quickly it's processing data, you think to yourself, oh my goodness, this computer is an amazing thing. It's so smart, it's so complex. Like, how can anybody understand these things? But when you break it down to its most simple mechanical parts, to an individual task, each individual process that it's doing is actually not that complicated. It's the sum of all those processes that perform, a sum of a very complex task. So I think of learning anything, whether it be how to draw or how to program or how to animate, is a very similar process. No one step is too difficult to learn or requires being exceptionally talented or exceptionally smart. It's just having the patience and the discipline to learn each little individual step and being patient to build those skills over time. Over time, it becomes second nature, like walking and talking. You don't have to think about the walking part anymore. It's the same with like doing art. After a while, you don't have to think about, how do I draw this body? It just becomes an easier task to do, that you're not consciously making all these decisions that you've learned step by step. How does an eye work? How does a face work? How does an arm work? It becomes more second nature after hundreds and hundreds and thousands of drawings. And I feel like the same kind of with programming. There's certain computer logic that just you kind of forget, how you had to learn it in the very beginning, and you just kind of know how these things work after a while. But it wasn't because like you were inherently smarter, or I was inherently smarter than anybody else, or I was inherently more talented than anybody else. I think people can have aptitude towards certain things. They may have a certain innate aptitude towards like color, line, shape, logic, that makes these tasks easier to start out with, but they still have to go through the process of building these skills. Nobody goes from being born to drawing, you know, their best masterpiece in life. You know, how boring would that be if you were just born and you automatically could do everything to your 100% potential? Like, there would be no journey, there would be no improvement. Honestly, there would be no motivation for me to keep doing it, because you've already, there's nothing left to learn. There's nowhere else to go. You know, you're kind of finished. Like, I would almost just want to go on and move on to learning something that I'm bad at, because it would be more interesting than just going through the repetitious motion of something that I already know how to do, which is probably one of the reasons why I am breaking away from comics and I'm working on a game. Not to say that I was the master of making comics, but I think the workflow for that particular medium just became kind of tedious. Like, I wasn't growing enough in that medium, that once you reach like past proficiency and you're starting to like try to achieve mastery, the steps and the progress that you make becomes much slower. The amount of time and effort you have to make to even make an inch of progress when you're already proficient at something and you're working towards mastery is a lot of investment for very little gains, versus like learning a whole new skill. It's very exciting. Like, you make leaps and bounds as you're trying to get over that initial hump of frustration of like trying to become proficient at something, and then becoming proficient at something is very valuable, and a lot of those skills can like carry on and cross over to other disciplines that might not have seemed obvious at first. So yeah, I guess in summary, what I'm trying to say is, if you are the type of person who says to yourself, I wish I could do this, I wish I could do that, but I'm not smart enough, I'm not talented enough, I'm not hardworking enough, like, I would say try to be more honest with yourself. Use honest language. Is this something you really want to do? Or is this something that maybe you are not that interested in? Like, you think it's cool to look at, but you don't want to spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of your time working on it. And that's fine. But don't use words that are self-deprecating, that are putting yourself down, that somehow that you are a lesser human being because you choose not to learn how to do these things. It's totally fine to be like, I don't want to learn how to draw because it's too much time and effort for me. I'd rather be doing something else. But don't say, I'm not talented enough, or I wish I was talented enough. You might wish that it didn't take so long to make something cool, but that is a totally different thing. These people who make it look easy, there's a lot of hours and a lot of effort that went behind getting to that level of proficiency. So yeah, just be honest when you say, because the bridge between like having natural aptitude and just like learning the skills, that bridge narrows very quickly. Somebody might, you know, take off to something a little bit easier than somebody else, but at the end of the day, it's whoever puts in the most time and effort who truly is going to make that progress and who's going to be able to you know, to build that foundational skill towards mastery, or at least towards proficiency. And if your excuse is, well, I don't have the time to learn, as a full-time working mom and someone who is developing my own game, creating all the art assets, doing all the writing, etc., I would just say you'd be surprised at what time of time that you can carve out if you really want. Alright, well, that's my 2 cents for today. That's my little rant. Take care, and don't forget to enjoy that process. Enjoy that journey towards proficiency, and if your goal is mastery, good luck. Bye now.